Hi, welcome back into our series of developing spiritual virtue. And today we look at modesty, one of the virtues to be developed by a person practicing spiritual life. So, what is modesty? It is character over competence and the spiritual beauty of humility. So, let's look into it a little more deeper. Nowadays, people often check a person's competence before hiring the person. They don't go into the character of the person. But earlier, in olden days, this was not the case. They used to gauge a person as per his character. They wanted the person's character to be utmost in work and dealings because this was the ethics those days. Low competence was never an issue with high charactered person. So they always accepted a person who had high character in his life rather than competence. That was accepted. But high competence, a person is like super educated and all that. But if he had low character, which means he did not have ethics to work and he was not truthful, not sincere, dishonest, that was never tolerated in an organization. What is modesty then? So, modesty does not mean low self esteem. A spiritual person understands everything comes from God, his abilities, everything comes from God. And thus he sees all of that as Lord's mercy upon him. A modest person does not seek constant praise, attention, and validation. So, he doesn't even go for show off. Next, when a person is modest, what other qualities does he exhibit? He doesn't show off, he does not try to dominate others, he gives credit to the Lord and others, and he remains polite and respectful in social conduct, which is so essential. A simple analogy can explain the quality of a person who is really modest in his dealings. Like if you see a tree, it's laden with fruits. What happens? It bends down. Thus, the more one advances spiritually, that person becomes more modest naturally because he knows that whatever he is or whatever abilities he have or whatever spiritual progress he's making, it's only by the Lord's mercy and the blessings of his seniors. Next, modern culture virtues, sorry, modern culture versus spiritual consciousness. Now, one may say in today's world where one is constantly taught promote yourself, show everyone your achievements, get attention, be superior. Social media, especially, feeds this kind of pride, comparison, and the need to impress others. Therefore, a spiritual advanced person focuses on inner consciousness. Now, what does inner consciousness means? Like if a person is giving a class, okay, if a person with a proud mentality is giving a class, he thinks in his mind, I hope everyone sees how knowledgeable I am. Whereas a person who is modest, who has modest mentality, he in his mind thinks, oh, I'm giving class. I hope the Lord helps me benefit at least one person who's listening to this class. So you see, external actions for both those people are same. Both are giving class, but internally the consciousness differs. Now let's move on to How to cultivate modesty in today's day and age when it's so difficult, because everywhere around us there is so much of social propaganda. So the first thing is, give credit to others and the Lord. How should we understand this is, instead of saying I did everything, one must try and cultivate this consciousness of saying to oneself, oh, many people helped me in this project, or by Lord's mercy, it happened. So basically, you're passing on the credit. You're not keeping it to yourself. What is the result of this? It softens the ego naturally, and it helps one to be modest eventually. Sorry. Next way of cultivating modesty is, do good without expecting praise. So, the ego, the ego that we have, it secretly wants appreciation. So, practice doing good without expecting praise, without expecting applause, likes, compliments, or special treatment. This in turn leads to one to develop inner strength. Next, avoid constant self promotion. This is so important these days. This trend of announcing every achievement online or on social media is not necessary. So, what do? We must ask ourselves internally, am I sharing this to inspire or to get admiration? If our consciousness is, I am sharing this so that I can inspire people, this is very powerful self check. But if I'm doing it just for admiration, then a person on the spiritual path must definitely not do so, because he's sincerely trying to cultivate virtues in his life, and this will hinder his quality of modesty. Next, listen more and interrupt less. Instead of always trying to prove ourselves right, a modest person always listens carefully. Like he practices allowing others to finish their speaking, then he appreciates others' point of view, and he does not interrupt unnecessarily. So these are some beautiful checkpoints we can use when we are in communication with people around us. Next, perform hidden services very sincerely. Like, who did even small service sincerely, you must try not to be loud about them. Like, example, cleaning or helping someone, encouraging someone, supporting without recognition. These hidden services weaken the false ego. So we must always try and render some hidden services. Next, stay aware of dependence on the Lord. No matter however intelligent or talented we are, things, situation, and people around us can change with a blink of an eye. Like health conditions can change, situations can change. Today we have a good ability of speaking that might change. So we must be aware of these things. By being aware of these things and these facts, we always keep ourselves realistic and grateful. And thus we ground ourselves. We are not flying. And it helps us to stay modest. Next, association with genuinely modest people. Now, when we associate with such kind of people, it is very simple and very easy for us to pick up their qualities in a positive way, because it says like when you associate with somebody, we also brush on to their qualities. So this is an easiest way to cultivate this quality. You just be around people who are modest, and we learn by observing them. Let's move further. This important thing, we need to maintain balance. Modesty does not mean weakness. It does not mean tolerating abuse or denying our own talents. One can be confident, capable, and talented while remaining humble and grounded. True modesty keeps one grounded and internally regulated. Next, in conclusion, real modesty transforms our inner consciousness. It brings gratitude, balance, and eventually spiritual advancement, which is our goal. So, I thank you so much for being with me till the end, and I'll see you soonest.